Hey, Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. Do you want to be the best leader possible? If you do, there's certain characteristics that, if you're expressing them on a regular basis, are going to put you in a situation where you can lead a significant number of people. And they're probably not what you think they are. I'm one of my sweet spots in what I do is I love to teach leadership. I teach leadership universities for companies. I teach leadership in the home business space, and I've been in leadership for a long time. And a couple of things are abundantly clear to me. Leadership is not about talent. Leadership is more about heart. And there are lots of people that think they can't lead or they're not leaders because they don't come from the right side of the tracks, or they don't have the right degree, or they're not wealthy enough. Hey, that stuff doesn't really matter. Leadership is about influence, and influence is essentially the purposeful application of credibility, and credibility comes from who you are. Yes, also from what you do, but who you are. And I also, of course, study leadership. I do it and I study it, but I don't teach anything that I haven't proven to be true. There's a fantastic book out there that I recommend that you read if you're in leadership or aspiring to leadership, called The Leadership Challenge by Posner and Kouzes. It's been around for a long time, and those guys, they did a lot of in-depth research, and they have they teach and lead companies and leadership all over the world. And what I'm going to give you is their top 4 characteristics that have been true and proven. And we're talking about tens and tens of thousands of people were surveyed in all kinds of companies on all different continents, right? So this supersedes, because anything industry-wise, because it comes down to people. It's always about people. They're the most important thing in anything. And so these are the top 4. And again, they're not talent, they're not power, they're not wealth, they're not charisma, they're not super personality. It's not that, right? And I've seen that as well in the leadership seminars that I've done with really successful leaders all over the world in multiple fields. They don't look the same. There's not like this thing where you look at it and go, oh, you must be a leader because you look like that or you act like that. That's not it. This has more to do with heart. I talk a lot about this kind of stuff in my book, Leading with Heart, but this is really simple. And again, leadership is open for anybody. It's a choice. It's not a set of DNA. I mean, everybody has characteristics that can be applied to leadership. Again, I've seen that to be true over and over and over. And so it's not just something that sounds good. But these are their 4, and I can't argue with them. These are right up there. So number 1 is honesty. And it always is number 1. If honesty speaks so deeply, if people don't believe you're honest, they're not going to follow you, right? I mean, that's true leadership, is, do people follow you, or are they willing to follow you? So honesty is, man, it's just such a huge thing. And you have to be really conscious. I mean, there's a whole giant session I do on trust, because there's so many things you can do in leadership that can be perceived as lack of honesty. I mean, because you're under a microscope. So you have to be really conscious of this one. But, bottom line is, if your policy is to be honest in all things, then you really don't have to worry about it, because people will see that you are over time. You can't say, hey, I'm honest. You have to be honest. The second thing is forward thinking, right? Leaders have to have some vision, right? And again, it doesn't have to be like this massive thing, but it needs to be something that's out there in front, right? It has to be out in front that people are working towards. Ideally, it's bigger than self, but it could be many different things for many different people, but there has to be some vision. People want to follow someone that's going somewhere, not just sitting still. The third thing is competence, and this is I think this one is something that people struggle with, right? So you think about this. Some of the best coaches in sports were not the best players, right? Often they weren't. Matter of fact, some of the best coaches in sports didn't really play at a high level, but they're exceptionally good at leading people inside of the sport, and they were certainly competent, right? I mean, I love basketball. I played basketball for years, and This is a great example. Most of the best basketball coaches were not great basketball players, but they were competent in basketball. They understood the skills. They understood all the different positions. They understood deeply because they played, but they were competent, right? And so you only need to be competent. You don't need to be the best at what you're doing, right? I mean, the best teachers typically aren't the best in the space. It's ideal, right, if they've been successful to some degree in the space and demonstrated that what they do works. But really, in most things, right, the best leaders surround themselves with people that are better than them, right? They're better than them in different things, right? That's right, what I once heard it said, the last thing you want to be as a leader is the smartest person in the room. You want to surround yourself with people that are excellent in what they do. So you just need to be competent in what you're doing so people don't question your knowledge of the thing or that you know how to do it. And then the fourth thing is inspiring, right? Not motivating, inspiring. Remember, people are already motivated. The question is for what? And inspiring means you need to be real, right? You need to be a real person. Your struggles inspire people, not necessarily your successes, unless people understand they came through struggle, right? Authenticity is important. And revealing that you're flawed, right? And one of the big mistakes lots of leaders make is they try to pretend they don't have any weaknesses. Everybody has weaknesses. There's no such thing as a human being who's great at everything. It just isn't. And so to pretend that is inauthentic, right? And so it speaks to honesty. Then you look dishonest. And so revealing that you're flawed, that you're not great at everything, that's helpful for someone. That's inspiring. Putting on your old shoes, as I say, and helping people understand where you came from, because people see you, especially if you've progressed dramatically in your business or whatever it is you're leading. If you've progressed dramatically, then people see you where you are now. They didn't see where you came from. They can't be inspired by where you are now because you're too far away. What you've accomplished and how you appear, right, is way different than how you started, and they can't necessarily connect to that. So you have to share that stuff, right? You have to share where you came from and that you struggled, and that inspires people. So honest, forward-thinking, competent, and inspiring. 4 of the top key leadership characteristics, and everybody can do those 4. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to share this message. Visit my blog, toddberry.com. There's a free download there for you, Overcoming the 4 Barriers of Success. It's an audio download. It'll help you a lot. It'll help anyone in your team who's trying to accomplish something. And I look forward to seeing you next time.